I'm Bryce Johnson here at Man Up Charlotte. It's a conference that has been going on in Pittsburgh for the last couple of years, and now we have brought it to Charlotte, and I am pumped right now because we are joined by the MC for today. He's Eugene Robinson. He played 16 years in the NFL, played in 3 Super Bowls, winning one in 1996 with the Packers. He also played for the Seahawks, Falcons, and Carolina, and is currently an analyst for the Panthers. And so he's the MC, and he joins us now here at the Man Up Conference in Charlotte. Eugene,
Yes,
how are you?
I'm doing great.
Man, well, we're pumped to have you
Yes.
back on Unpacking It and a part of Man Up. And so we got to start, though, with a couple quick thoughts on the Panthers. It's
Yes.
the offseason. OTAs have been going on. What have you seen? What are kind of your initial thoughts in the summer?
Listen, that young man, DJ Moore, the one that they drafted, that kid is the truth. He's the real deal now. There's been a lot said about he reminds you of Steve Smith.
Yep.
I think he's going to remind you of Steve Smith. And Steve Smith was one of the most ferocious receivers ever to put on a Panther uniform. And I think this combination of let me back it up. Last year, one of the things that we struggled in the receiving corps. Guys were just hurt.
In and out.
Samuels was hurt. Demare Bird was hurt. Funches was hurt. KB gets traded. It was so disjointed. I mean, we ended up with Burson, Kalen Clay. I forget Shepard. We ended up with that crew. Now we got a new crew that's coming in. DJ Moore's headlining that. They picked up Torrey Smith. They got Wright.
Yeah, veteran.
They got a number of guys right there to add to their mix, and having the Funches, having a Demare Bird get back in the mix, and having Samuels go ahead and really assume the role of that second-round draft pick. I'm telling you, dude, I'm excited because I think, and Coach North Turner, where everybody touches the rock.
Yeah.
Everybody gets to eat. I'm excited for the Carolina Panthers offensively because I think this is going to really revolutionize Cam Newton's game.
Wow. And why do you say that?
Because no longer is he going to be so myopic. He runs the ball and then he throws the ball, but he's primarily a runner. And your mindset, if you're a defensive back, when you think of him as a runner and he starts to take on that move, then it's easier to go ahead and hit him. It's easy to go ahead and look to take your shots on him. That's unnecessary beating you want to take.
Oh, yeah.
You want to be back like Roethlisberger. You want to be the Tom Brady where you're sitting back in the cut and you throw the rock. Or Russell Wilson when you're sitting back there, then you
Run when you
scramble
need
out.
to.
Run when you need to. Now, if he starts running when he needs to, he becomes much, much more dangerous, and his runs become effective with less hits because he's standing up, going out of bounds, and sliding because now he's beating people with his arms. So I'm looking forward to what North Turner is going to do in this evolution, this transformation I think is going to really take place with arguably one of the best quarterbacks in the league who's matured a lot because don't forget, he's a dad.
Yeah,
This
that's right.
dude's a dad.
That's right.
Maturity comes by being a father. So I'm excited about what we look for, what we're looking like offensively and defensively. I'm just a big fan. Dontarie Poe, oh my goodness.
Nice.
Milena. I mean,
Nice signing.
we lost Starler Tulele to the Ravens. When we picked up Poe actually
It's a big pickup.
is a huge pickup, Bryce, and he actually beat us. When we lost to Atlanta, he was one of the primary reasons why we lost. He was just in the backfield.
Man, to grab a rival's
Yes.
player, it's a big move.
Yes,
So,
it is.
all right, you mentioned fatherhood
Yes.
for Cam Newton, and so it's on our mind today because here at Man Up Charlotte, talking about being a husband, being a father, impacting our community. How passionate are you just about this whole concept of manning up and being a part of this conference today?
You know, it's a fourfold process. They have a thing called Dad 1, Dad 2, Dad 3, Dad 4. Dad 1, I'm going to be a dad to my kids. Dad 2, I'm going to be a dad in my community. Dad 3, I'm going to be a dad to the fatherless. And then Dad 4, which is a call to bring somebody alongside with you the next time we have this conference. I think this is a great initiative. I didn't realize our 50 out of 50, our city is lacking. We're last. And there is a fatherless problem and an absentee dad problem in our community. And it's not just black, it's not just white, it's not just Hispanic, it's everyone. It touches everyone.
An epidemic.
And when fatherlessness touches everyone, there's so many statistics that really go up. Prison, go up. Suicide, drugs, go up. Those things can be directly related back to fatherlessness. And so what we're trying to do here in Charlotte is to curb that, to mitigate it, to stop it somehow, to cut it in half, to stop it at the knees by men taking their place. And I'm not asking you to be the greatest dad. I'm not asking you, because you're not going to have any flaws. I'm saying once you start to step up and start to assume your role and assume your rightful office of being a dad, it's going to transform a child, and that child is going to make a huge difference in our community, and it'll make a huge difference in their own families and what they do and what they teach. And so that's what we're asking you to do.
Eugene Robinson, our guest right now on Unpacking It here at Man Up Charlotte. And when you think about what has defined your view of a man, how did football factor into that view? And then how has Jesus kind of changed that perspective, or how do they fit together?
I've grown up with a dad. My dad and my mom were together, and then when I got older, my senior year, when I turned 18, they got divorced. But my dad was in the house, and that wasn't always the best, but my dad was in the house. And he would show up sometimes and not show up, and unfortunately, my dad was plagued by and ended up almost dying from cancer. But the alcoholism and the excessive smoking, and it just wasn't a good combination back then, and he ended up dying at 68. But I had a dad that was in the home. When I became a Christian, things changed. Things changed because a lot of things that maybe I got away with, and a lot of things that I did that I didn't really care about, a lot of things I did because I just didn't know, God just kind of changed that entire dynamic, that entire thing. Coming under the umbrella of God and knowing that I was forgiven and knowing that God loved me, that was a huge deal. It was huge, and it colored my entire world and changed my entire perspective of how I viewed everything. No longer was it about me. No longer was it about, pull myself by the bootstraps, go ahead and make as much money as you can. It was about me trying to serve the Lord and me being a dad.
That's cool.
And taking the office of dad. The most important thing I could do is love my wife and love my kids. That's the most important things I can do. And
it's awesome.
That's
man enough.
But that's learning. And here it is. I hadn't done that all the time. And so the truth of it is I haven't done that to the best of my ability all the time.
Yeah.
But that's my aim, and that's my goal, and that's what I strive to do. And even when I've fallen, I just pick myself back up because football teaches you that and get right back into the next play. And I think that's the mandate of God, and that's the forgiveness of God too. It's like, of course you're going to stumble. Young men stumble and fall. That's what the Bible says. It said, but they that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings of eagles. They should not walk and never faint. They should not run and never faint. There is such a thing as, man, God gives you not only second chances, but he infuses you with life, and you get to go ahead and impact someone else.
Man, love the message of grace, and you mentioned the concept of stumbling, which we do. And at the same time, though, as you look at today's man, and whether it's an NFL player or a regular sports fan, what concerns you, and maybe even some things that we've accepted as a culture, or things that, hey, we stumble, we fall, but at the same time we got to man up and address some of these issues. What's something that comes to mind for you?
One of the things that really concerns me, and it's been really prevalent, is almost this us against them mentality in our country right now. I'm really concerned about this is the great thing about Jesus Christ breaking down barriers, because I see myself, I'm black, of course, but I see myself as a Christian.
Yep.
I'm a black man who I'm a Christian who just happens to be black, or a Christian who happens to play football, a Christian who happens to like music. I find my identity becoming a Christian first, and not discrediting my color. And I think in our society today that we got this us against them mentality that is so divisive, and I think it's going to reverberate and it's going to affect our children. That divisiveness is going to affect our children, and some small, if we can't go ahead and get it together. If we can't go ahead and sit here and have a conversation, agree to disagree, whatever, if we can't, something's wrong. And what unites us is coming under the umbrella of Christ. We go like this, hold up, what does God have to say about this? Boom. Then I'm going to go with that. And that's what I think I get scared of.
Yeah.
I'm afraid that there's so much divisiveness in our country right now that black, white, Hispanic, Asian, it just colors everything right now, and that needs to be eradicated.
So what are maybe some initial steps or action points, or how do you see some of that changing?
Well, I think a lot of it is, and this is what this Fatherless campaign is addressing, this men's conference is addressing, is that how can I be the one-on-one with a kid. This is it's like I'm eating the elephant one bite at a time, if you will. And I start with my children. So dad one is I'm going to be a dad to my kids.
Yep.
What does that mean? Me pouring in, me protecting, me loving, me giving good advice and
Being
nurturing my
intentional.
child and being intentional about that. Then I'm going to do that in my community. If we're doing that process step by step, slowly, meticulously, if we're doing that, my goodness, it's going to change that whole narrative, what we see now with the division, because now when you throw out fake stuff or you got divisional stuff like this, you get to color it based on what God has said was poured out in this child who knows the truth and can address it based on truth and not based on color or whatever.
That's right.
Whatever that may be.
And when we're linking arms for bigger purposes, and
You ain't never lie.
then we're really there's more of a teamwork,
Yep.
and so that's how we've got to incorporate that into our communities, especially. And so we're talking with Eugene Robinson here on Unpacking It. We're at the Man Up Charlotte conference, and we'll wrap up with just kind of two quick nuggets. And so when you think about being a husband, and you've been married for how many years?
32 years.
32. What's maybe one nugget or one word of wisdom to the father?
Listen to
Or
your
to
wife.
the husband, I mean. I'm sorry, to the husband.
Listen to your wife. When God tells you that your wife is there to complete you, she really does complete you. She really does go ahead and make it. At least my wife does. She's made a huge difference in my life, and you know, I could easily like, man, I want to hear this, that, but I've always been to humble myself and like to listen, and being in communication with her and listening. That's really saved my marriage.
Wow, that's
You
great.
know, it's really
That's
saved
a-
my marriage.
that's
Because my wife has
simple
every
and-
reason to go ahead and divorce me, and she would have every reason based on my transgressions in the past, but that wasn't the narrative. Because she loved the Lord Jesus Christ more than she loved me. And because she loved Jesus Christ, she could love me.
That's awesome. And to say you're a big talker, so to say listening is the key. That's
I know, I talk too much.
that's why we love you.
I talk too much, B.
That's right.
You know.
That's right. All right. So then the other part of that is you're a father of how many?
2 kids.
2 kids. So
My daughter is 30 and she'll be 31, and my son is 28 years old. And I love being dad. And let me just say this
Yeah.
quick story. I remember when my daughter was born, I used to always read to my wife's womb, reading Bible stories. And I remember when this is when I really fell in love with my daughter. When she was first born and she's fresh and new, 2 things I remember. I remember her smell. I was going, oh my goodness, baby smell new. And I'm all like, what's this? But then I started to talk, and I happened to go away talking to a relative. I started to talk. And because my daughter, I've spoken to my daughter in the womb, the people say, oh my goodness, what is she doing? She's trying to find where my voice is because she knew my voice.
wow, that's
And
cool.
I knew it in that connection. I said, hold it. She knows my voice, and she finds me, she finds my voice and fixes her gaze in that direction. And I was hooked.
Man, that's cool.
Brittany, I am hooked.
Oh, I love it.
I am hooked. I was hooked, smitten.
Man.
So that was about my story with my daughter.
That's awesome. No, I love it. So one key word of wisdom to the dad, maybe even a new dad. What would you say to a new dad is just one nugget that can be powerful for him?
Well, people watch what you do, not what you say.
That's good.
Yeah, so just go ahead and walk it.
I love it. That's great. Well,
B
good
Money.
stuff. There's Eugene Robinson.
Thank you, sir.
Joining us here on Unpacking It at the Man Up Charlotte Conference. And always great to catch up with him